Hey everyone, I'm Andrew Can, and if I can, you can too. Today we are going to be talking with one of my good friends, Rob Balasabas, about YouTube Shorts, his brain, his mindset. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Opus Clip for sponsoring this live stream. I am an Opus partner. There will be an affiliate link in the description that you can check out Opus. Rob and I might talk about that. Rob also is an Opus Clip partner. But without further ado, let's bring Rob on. Rob, good to see you.
Hey, Andrew Can. Yes, sir. Yeah, good to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
I have not been, I haven't been on your channel in a little while, but this is great. It's a great opportunity to hang out and catch up.
It's been too long,
Too
but
long.
one of the reasons I brought you on is because you're crushing it on short form content. I see you everywhere. So my first question to you, Rob, is how do you balance where to post all this amazing vertical content? Because you have such a unique viewpoint into it all.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a great question. I just try to focus in. Actually, I don't try to post it everywhere. I could easily, but YouTube is primary. YouTube is my primary channel anyway, where I share a lot of my content. And so YouTube, and then also TikTok is sort of a secondary. Not as active there, but I am posting consistently. Again, using Opus. Shout out to Opus. Shout out to Connor, the whole crew over there at Opus. It's just made my life so much easier. We can talk all about it.
Well, I think that's the thing I like the most about short form content. And if you're watching, let us know, do you create short form video content? I think my favorite thing when it comes to short form content is the how easy it is to make it. I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people when they're starting, they think they need all this expensive gear. They think they need to know have everything down. But I think what we both have learned, at least I definitely have, is short form allows me to have fun with it again. And it
Yeah.
still serves my root audience. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All most of the short form content that I create, again using Opus, is honestly is just my mostly my podcast. I've been testing a couple new formats of long form tutorials, for example, and tips videos, for example, that I'm running through Opus. But the ones that I've been so far, the majority of them have been my podcast interviews with other creators from my podcast called Coffee with Creators. And so naturally, it works really well. It's usually 30 to 45 seconds. And again, it's just like so easy to get all of these clips. With AI nowadays, man, it's finding the clips, finding the really like sort of spiky clips, and then posting them, scheduling them. And I think the consistency really has attributed to the growth of not only the channel, the views, like everything is green right now in my, in the dashboard in the studio. And so everything is green. Views, reach, impressions, everything, even, AdSense revenue, which I didn't expect, to be honest, with shorts. I really just wanted to use shorts to be more to reach more people, and then hopefully kind of translate into views to the longer form videos on my channel. And so the AdSense part of it was actually a surprise, to be honest. And so, um, yeah.
No, I think that's very good. You mentioned consistency, and I think not only does that help when it comes to, keeping a consistent content schedule, used it within the word there, but also, I mean, it makes sense why the revenue is going up. YouTube said that it would, and I've seen that myself. I've seen that it's been a surprising thing because, you hear horror stories to mention like TikTok where they just closed their creator fund at the time of this live stream. And it just goes to show that through it all, as creators, that YouTube is still very viable, whether you are creating traditional content like, standard long form videos, or you're making 9:16 vertical. And I really appreciate your insights there because a lot of people keep asking, and this was actually a question we saw in the community, can you make money on shorts? I think you've just answered it. You absolutely can.
Yeah, you absolutely can. I think what happens, and I'm still trying to figure out and study my data, but I feel like when people do find your shorts, YouTube is now starting to serve them maybe other shorts, but also some of your long form content as well. And so for sure, those ones have, it's going to run through AdSense, and you're going to get ad revenue for those if your channel's monetized. And so, yeah, I think that's definitely, and with TikTok, the creator fund being shut down, again, it just shows that YouTube is the place. It's the best place where they're doing, any platform that does any rev share with the creators. I feel like YouTube is still the king there, right? Still reigns supreme there in terms of how much they share with their creators and support in that sense. And so, yeah, it's fantastic. It's great.
And another thing I like about shorts is just, you can still have your memberships, you can still have your super thanks, you can
Yep.
still have other ways that your audience can support. And
Mhm.
I think that's also been surprising for me. I had someone say, "Hey, I bought something from watching this short, but I didn't use your link. Sorry. Here's $5." And I was like, thank you. You
Thank you.
don't have to apologize." But I just think it goes to show, like, if you're not considering shorts as a revenue stream, that I think is one of the things that is surprised both of us is YouTube Shorts is a viable revenue stream. And I think that a lot of creators, if you use it well, like you mentioned, it can kind of lead back and forth. One thing that YouTube actually has put out, and this goes to anyone who's creating YouTube Shorts, YouTube says that in a traditional video, the first 10 seconds is the hook. For YouTube Shorts, YouTube has come out and said it's the first 3 seconds.
Mm,
That's crazy.
it's
How
crazy.
quickly you need to hook an audience to get them to watch. So I know that when I'm thinking of a hook for my shorts, or if I'm pulling from a live stream, like I think we all know we will after this, Rob and I,
Yeah.
I think finding those moments that would be interesting is crucial. So my
Mhm.
question to you, Rob, is how do you hook a viewer, especially when it goes from 10 seconds in a standard video to only 3 in a YouTube short?
Yeah, again, this is and it goes back to the AI and Opus, and I really can't take credit for it, because most of these are podcasts, and so naturally there is a bit of a hook as somebody. Most of it is basically like either the short starts with me asking the question and like a really sort of, oh, I can't believe he asked that question, or it starts with the answer, the guest or myself answering, and there's a natural, the way that you answer a question, there's a bit of a natural hook in the way that people talk, to set up their answer, right? And so it happened. And so again, the AI is picking that up. The thing that'll be interesting will be, that I found really interesting, was the actual tips. When it's like, hey, like those videos where it's like, hey, here's 5 tips on how to get more live stream viewers. Um, those actually work really well as well. And I was surprised that AI would catch those and turn those into actual shorts that has value that people would watch, and has you know um that would actually catch attention, and has all those elements. So yeah, it's really interesting. One thing that will be interesting that I'm trying to test is, as you guys know, actually maybe I know Andrew knows, but maybe most people don't know, is that we have a family vlog channel. And so I was talking to the team over at Opus, and they're saying like, yeah, it'd be nice to see if we can, like, let's test some of these vlogs and see what happens. And that'll be interesting, if what the AI does with vlogs and turning those into short clips. So we'll see.
I mean, just thinking, like, when you're traveling, and I've seen your family's vlogs, so that is something, to your point, I am aware of. But I think it's interesting, right? Because let's say recently, and this is long past, you went to Portugal, right? But
Yeah,
like, let's
yeah,
say it finds moments like, hey, if you're going to Portugal, you should stop here, and that's
yeah.
really interesting to see how it thinks.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to kind of see where, because podcast and those kind of things, it's really easy. It's like a thought. Like each 30 seconds, you can package a thought. But what is for vlogs, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited for that. But yeah, to your point, I think it's just saving so much time, in terms of hooks and stuff like that. It's just a natural part of the conversation in the podcasts and the tutorial videos, that it seems to catch it. That's all I can say. It's just like the AI is dialed in. It's great.
And I think that is something as well, just it's part of the conversation. That's something I tell people when they're trying to start YouTube Shorts is what conversations are you trying to have with your audience? Because because of the nature of shorts and how people swipe through, they can tell if you're not focused or if you're not thinking of the conversation when you make the short form content. And I think when it's hard with 10 seconds to keep people hooked, yet alone 3. So I think one thing that I've noticed from your, just your podcast clipping is that you really do find those moments. And I know you say it's the AI, but you also have to pick which ones too. You got to publish them yourselves
Yeah, yeah,
because
exactly.
like it hasn't gotten to the point where it can publish yet. I often say yet with AI because you never know.
It could, right? It's just like, here's my long form link, and you just do your thing. It could get there, I'm sure. But yeah, I think that's probably where I spend the most time is that, it will pick out a clip. Let's say it's 30 seconds, but within that 30 seconds, there might be about 5 seconds that I actually don't want included in the shorts. Maybe there was something else in there that I want to take out, and that's totally fine. And so there's a bit of that. You got to be a little bit more critical of, even after the AI has done its thing, you have to spend a bit of time to be as critical as possible. Is this a really good clip? Is this something I would watch? Is this something I would scroll past? And so, I mean, that's something that you do with your old videos anyway, with your long form videos, with any videos that you're uploading. And so, that's where you would still spend your time. But even so, like with that tool, with tools like that, then it still cuts down like 90% of the work that you're doing, traditionally or before.
Yeah, and I think that, the fact you can repurpose in that way, it's huge because just because you said it on YouTube doesn't mean they've heard it on LinkedIn. That doesn't mean they haven't
That's right.
heard it on
That's right.
Instagram. And it lives on through other means. And I can tell you, and I'm sure Rob, you can say it as well, that sometimes you don't know who's watching you on those other platforms. People who are completely unaware of you on, let's say, Threads, for example, can find short content that you've repurposed from a live stream. From that, they can show huge interest in working with you. And when I talk about it to creators, they're just always blown away. They're like, "How do you know that? You'll never know unless you post."
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you never know unless you post. I recently posted that on LinkedIn, actually Threads as well, and that I've got similar audience sizes in terms of followers and subscribers on LinkedIn and YouTube, and I feel like they are two different. It's not like the same like it's around 9,500, 9,400 people. It's not the same 9,000 people on YouTube that's following this YouTube channel that's also connected with me on LinkedIn. It's like 18,000 total people, right? It's like two sets of people almost. There's maybe a little overlap, but most of them are like not the same. So yeah, definitely share it if you have that content. That's why right now I'm sharing on TikTok as well, these shorts. And eventually probably also on Reels, right? For the reason of awareness. It's not, those platforms won't have any partner program, creator funds already shut down and stuff like that. So that's a whole nother conversation of like, what's your intent for sharing it on those platforms? Do you want to get in front of people that maybe will work with you, or do you want to get in front of brands that maybe want to hire you for sponsorships? But you do have to have a bit of idea of why are you sharing it on these platforms? So YouTube is an easy answer if you're monetized. Yeah, if
Yes.
you're monetized, yeah.
I like that though. It's the intentionality behind why you're sharing. And YouTube with monetization is always one of those things that is interesting, right? Because YouTube actually had to change its whole monetization side of things with the introduction of shorts.
Hmm.
We now have, with 500 subscribers and 10 million shorts views, you can monetize. And I think that it is changing things. I was a little hesitant when it came to vertical video at first. I think it was mostly because people didn't know, should I make a new channel? Should it be on my existing channel? How do I have fun with this? But as we go and, it matures as not only a platform but a content type, I find that it is very fun to create the content, whether I am pre-thinking about it for a podcast. And for example, this is a great, you guys who are watching live are seeing me formulate questions I've had for Rob for a while. It's also good for content. So there's a lot of intentionality now with me thinking, hey, not only is this a great live stream, this can be great short form if we steer it in the right direction. My question to you, Rob, is do you ever find yourself steering like, that might make a really good moment for a short? Have you found that in your podcast interviews?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can already kind of tell. Like, oh, I'm sure. Sometimes actually, this is something I typically do is I'll have a notepad or some, like a notepad on screen or actual pen and paper, and I'll just kind of write down like that timestamp. Like, hey man, that was a really good point that Andrew just made. I'm gonna come back to that later. I'll just quickly write it off screen. But yeah, you can kind of tell. Again, AI catches it though. So So it's kind of a cheat code, but if not, I do try to note down some timestamps. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
We actually have a question from Chantel in the
sweet.
audience.
Hey, Chantel.
Do you prefer using tools or manually making shorts? I have my answer, but I think I kind of know yours, Rob. What is yours?
Yeah, I'm the majority of my shorts now are run through a tool, again, Opus. The Every now and then though, I will have, like, for example, like, when I travel for a conference or something, I'll kind of take like little short clips. And I'll either just use like YouTube directly, like the YouTube Studio and the Shorts tool there, or TikTok, or like the actual like platform. I don't get too fancy with like running it through like Premiere or anything like that.
Yeah, I find that for myself, to go back to the question, do I prefer using a tool or manually making them? I think there's a time and place for both.
Yes.
I think that there are times where if I've already edited a video and it's just easier to go ahead and do it there, I
Mhm.
absolutely will throw it in there. I think though, for when it comes to like long form videos like this, Opus Clip has made it so easy for me personally to not worry about creating vertical video content from live streams. That and its partnership with Streamyard has been game changing because I can take the manual process out, to Rob's point, and it can handle a lot of the heavy lifting for me. A lot of times I use it more as a co-pilot than something that takes over completely because it's just not there yet. And also, you're subscribing to see Rob, or you're subscribing to see me. You're not subscribing to see what AI thinks Rob and I are. You're subscribing to
Yeah.
see that human element, right? So for me, I tend to use the right tool for the job. And I think that's important when it comes to deciding making vertical videos.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. That's a great answer. The right tool for the job. That's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you really want to get fancy, right? May want to edit it. That's great. For the most part, there's great tools out there. But yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Chantel.
Yeah. So we have another one from Home Rapid Repair. What's
All
your
right.
take on short viewers not interested in watching horizontal videos on YouTube? So the question is, they're watching 9 by
Mm.
16s, they're not watching those 16 by 9s. Rob, what is your thoughts on that?
What's your take on people watching your short videos, your shorts, but they're not interested in watching your long form videos? Interesting. That is actually really interesting. If you had that, let me think through. If I had that dilemma, if I find people are only watching my shorts and they're not watching the long form, um, I would probably take a look at how long you're making your long form videos. Are they really long? Like, are they like 10 minutes or longer? That's the first thing I would look at myself and have a hard look at, like, my content. I would kind of try to then, probably, if that's the case, then I would probably bridge it and probably shorten my long form videos and make those shorter. Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe mid roll, AdSense, and all that stuff is only for 8-minute long videos at least, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. So I would probably start making, like, two, like 3-4 minute videos. Um, Again, I don't know your channel there, but yeah, I would probably like try to bridge them and earn that viewer time, that retention time over. I would try to bridge it and meet them closer and, like, okay, well, you enjoyed my 30-second video. Here's a 3-second tip. Here's that. Or sorry, 3-minute video going a little bit deeper, and then over time, hopefully your watch time and your retention time grows. That's probably how I'd approach that. How about you, Andrew?
I think when your shorts viewers aren't coming over to the long form, a couple things I see. One is, are you offering the similar content in the long form experience? I have seen a lot, especially with shorts, where it's a great short about like, this is this very specific example I saw this today. This person made a short that was about their car, but then their long form video, I'm like, wow, this channel looks awesome. Like, that's really informative. It's about their car. Their main channel is cooking. I'm like, whoa. It's a little bit of whiplash, right? It's like, I liked the car advice, but now I've come to your channel, it's actually cooking. So
Mm.
my first question is it actually relevant? Because a lot of times I keep seeing it's not. I know that, home rapid repair is definitely focused in on exactly that, home rapid repair. What I would say is that just because that short viewer isn't watching today doesn't mean they're not going to watch later. So
Mhm.
keep in mind that every subscriber, every viewer has a different need that they're getting from your content, right? So when someone's eating shorts, that's like if someone goes into a bar and only eats like the bar like food. They're not really there for that. But it
Right.
doesn't mean they're not going to that bar again, and it doesn't mean that it's not the bar's responsibility to remind them they exist, right? So I would say if you're not finding that success, do all you can to remind the viewer. Link to a long form piece of content in a short. Even if it may not be one to one relevant, you'd be surprised. Two, keep creating shorts so they see you consistently. If you only have made that one short they've seen, it can be a little more challenging because they just genuinely don't know. I found a lot of success in linking my shorts to my longs, but that took time. And again, you got to remember, a lot of times I see people quit after one try. It takes time for the audience to understand the content. How
Mhm.
often do you buy things by, I've only seen this once, I'm buying it. So people are spending their most valuable resource, time. So my
Right.
main thing is whenever you're not seeing that, keep going, keep creating, and remember that their time to them, if they're especially in shorts, they're looking for quick bites. They're not here for the whole meal, and that's okay. But when they are ready for the whole meal, make sure the content is similar, make sure that you're constantly in front of them, and make sure that it matches the interests of you and them. That'd be my
So good.
answer if you're not seeing them come over.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, I want to add to that. I had a quick look at rapid home rapid repairs channel. Like there's one there that's like 5 mistakes everyone makes with metal electric boxes that you posted 12 days ago. That's 5 shorts, right? And so I would probably link them to each other. Each of the shorts. If you have 5 shorts, link them to each other. And so yeah, like Andrew said, you may not get them to go from watching one short and go to long form, but eventually that repetitive showing up, they're seeing you. Also, shorts is great. We're talking about shorts today, but there's also long form searchability and all that stuff still works. People are still searching, especially your channel. I'm sure there's got to be a lot of search traffic coming looking for like, how do I stop using duct tape for my bathroom bed. There's all these, it's all search too, right? So there's a lot of different angles here, but yeah, the shorts is great for, I guess, if you're looking at this in a marketing perspective, like top of funnel awareness, to then see, oh, cool, like this is a good channel. Like I keep seeing this channel come up all the time, and then eventually they'll get fed more of your long form content too. So yeah, it'll take time, but Andrew, you've done a great job with that, really putting those two together.
Well, thank you. And I think one of the things I have to remind myself, and this goes to anyone watching, is similar to YouTube, the reason we say like and subscribe is because it works. And sometimes, are you actually doing a good job in saying, hey, this is one of my 5 rapid repair tips, but there's more on the channel. Click on that link down below, then let it loop, right?
Yeah.
There's still a lot we can do. It doesn't have to be you saying it. You can use graphics on screen. You can use a lot of different techniques to get them over there. But I really like that piece of advice. List content, I find, and Rob, you asked questions, you kind of said it, that leads to list format.
Hmm.
List content can make great short form content because it can stand alone. A lot
Hmm.
of times when people make short form content, they forget if they're pulling from long form or whether they're making it uniquely for shorts. Short form content needs to have a clear beginning, middle, and end so that it can stand alone for anyone watching. If I can't watch that individual piece without the context of the whole conversation, it's not a good short.
Hmm.
So, if it can stand on its own, that's huge. And I think that's, not saying that this is you, by the way, home rapid repair. Like, I often have to just caveat that, but it's something I've had to think of. And I'm sure, Rob, you have to think of it when you're selecting clips to use.
Yeah, I kind of assume when I'm looking and selecting clips that this is the first clip that they may see, because it usually is, right? Because again, shorts gets a lot of suggested traffic, recommended traffic, so it just kind of gets kind of goes out to a bunch of people that have never seen you typically, and so I always assume like, okay, if this is the first video, does that make sense? Like, does this video, like Andrew said, is there a beginning, middle, and end? Is there like, does it make sense just by itself without seeing any other shorts or linking to another piece of video or another short on my channel? Does this one short by itself make sense? And so if it doesn't, then I wouldn't put that up as a short because it's a weird experience. It just it's like, oh, that was incomplete. That could be a tactic, I guess. People could be like, oh, where's the rest? I should go to this guy's channel, right?
Oh, that's a that could be. And well, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, if it like I found myself, you also need to be an experiencer, right? Like you need to
Mhm, mhm.
be you need to try out the vertical video format too. I've asked creators, you're making shorts, but have you watched them? And you'd be surprised. A good amount tell me they don't watch them. I'm like, but you're creating and you're not aware of the landscape. It's interesting because a lot of YouTubers have watched a lot of YouTube before they ever make a video. But for shorts, they're going in completely blind at times. And I'm always so taken aback by that. So if you're one of those people who have not watched shorts but are making it, please share because I'm always curious by that. We do
Yeah.
have a question from Chantel, and I just want to level set. I see we have a
Yeah.
lot more people in here. This video is sponsored by Opus Clip. Opus Clip uses AI to make creating YouTube shorts or vertical video content easier than ever. Rob and I are both partners, in full disclosure. But the question Chantel asked is, with Opus, have you noticed a huge difference between uploading the video file versus using YouTube or the Streamyard link? Rob, I'm not sure if you have, but I definitely have.
Have you noticed a huge difference between I usually upload I use the actually no. I use both. Yeah. I've been more recently I've been uploading the video file. What I've actually done with the podcast is actually I'll run it through Opus first, the whole video file, get the shorts, and then upload those without and no you wouldn't be able to find I haven't uploaded the full episode of the podcast yet. So it's kind of like, okay, cool. Like these are cool clips, this is good stuff. And then I'll upload the podcast. It's a test I'm doing to see if that will generate more interest for the full length later. But yeah, I like that better.
I like uploading. If I had to like choose the order of how I would do it, I
Yeah.
upload the video file first because I
Hmm.
think it's cleaner. I think it is a little higher quality.
Hmm.
But I found using the StreamYard link to be even better than using the YouTube link because StreamYard already is doing a lot of the back end work. We are using StreamYard
Sure.
as well to do this live stream in case anyone was wondering. And StreamYard's already doing a lot of the local recording and back end stuff. So using that I find is a little higher quality than YouTube. And working at TubeBuddy when I did, I understand how YouTube looks at its own files and how that works. So if I had to choose order, your local file is always probably going to be the highest quality because it's shot that way. I'd say
Yep.
StreamYard link next, and the fact that you can even use a StreamYard link in Opus is amazing.
It's
And then I
crazy.
would say the YouTube link because obviously they're pulling it from YouTube. It's not going to be as good as the original file. So that's
Hmm.
kind of how I would structure it. And I think you kind of agree, Rob.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be the hierarchy if I was to do it that way.
And you mentioned that you're uploading clips before the full podcast is out, and it almost sounds, and this comes from experienced Africans, and they say, Andrew Can, I always take my shorts to be teasers. I don't know if that's wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with using shorts as teasers. Rob, it almost sounds like that's kind of what you're doing with your
That's
podcast,
exactly
taking
what I'm doing. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm it's exactly what I'm doing there. Yeah. So I'll let you know how the test goes, honestly. Podcast is a whole interesting thing anyway. That's a whole nother topic of promoting a podcast. It's not like YouTube. It's not like searchability and keywords and all that stuff. It's a different promotion tactic there. But yeah, I think we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's there's nothing wrong. Again, I don't think there's any specific there's no rules, so what you can do you can do whatever you like. So you can upload a couple of episodes or a couple shorts, put the full episode up, and then put the rest of the shorts after. So as in anything with YouTube and this social media, everything is a test. It's always a test.
yes.
Yeah.
But I think that's important to remember is like a lot of it is testing, having fun with it. You'll never
Exactly.
know if you don't test. And I
Hmm.
think that is something I've seen people refuse to do with shorts is like, I don't even want to touch it, is another mindset. Rob, if someone's like, I don't want to touch vertical video, I don't want to touch short form, what would your answer be to try to convince them?
If you don't want to do it at all, you just want to stay where like just long form horizontal videos. Um, I would say it's a disservice to what your channel is all about, because you can just keep on doing what you're doing, but all signs do point to shorts and short form content being a powerful tool. So at the very least, test it out on a separate channel if you don't want to mess up your current channel. Um, I've always the mentality of like, like with anything, especially in YouTube, guys, like you're gonna get a lot of voices like, hey, you should do this, you shouldn't do this, you should. There's really nothing that you can. It's really hard to take somebody's word for it. You have to learn and pick up as much as you can. But at the end of the day, every channel, every audience, every creator is different, and so you have to do it yourself to get a real answer. If you just say, you know what, somebody told me that I shouldn't do shorts, I'm not doing shorts. It's a real disservice to you, and probably a disservice to your audience too, because you could be, they could want to see it that way. They could want to consume your content. There's probably people out there that may want that could discover you because they are only on shorts, and so yeah, don't be afraid to test. Don't be afraid to test. If you don't want to mess up your current channel because you've built it up, test it on a new channel, separate channel. And if it doesn't work out, you just put that channel to sleep.
I think that's great advice. And I think that what you said is so smart there is that you never know how someone can find you or discover you.
Mm-hmm.
I find that if I only have like 5 minutes, I'm more likely to go through shorts content than long form because maybe I'm running late or I have like 5 minutes between meetings. Like, what am I supposed to do in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I've seen, and it's not just me, I've seen my friends, colleagues, they're just on shorts because it's easy for them to just see content. By
Sure.
not being there, to Rob's point, you are giving yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
And that took me time to realize as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the interesting thing with YouTube, right? And again, there's a lot of voices out here to say, okay, yeah, everything in one channel, separate your short, and then there's others that separate your shorts with your long form stuff. Live stream, don't live stream. There's all these, but you have to really test. But I do believe my under just again, we've been doing this. I think if we didn't have YouTube channels, Andrew, like I don't think we have the authority to say it, but we've been testing this kind of stuff for a while now, both on our channels. And I do feel like, YouTube is doing it. Even if you look at the tabs, right? If you go to your channel and you see the tabs, they're separating out the shorts from the long form, from the live streams, from the podcast, and similar to how you have TV channels, people can go to your channel and just choose. Okay, well, today I feel like watching just shorts from Andrew. Today I actually want to watch some long form stuff. What's he doing? Oh, he's gonna go live. Okay, I want to watch his live stuff. So people can choose where they want to go. And if you're only limited to long form, then I really think that kind of hurts, right? Yeah. So again, test it out.
I agree on testing. And, I just wanted to take a moment
Christina's
to,
here.
I know, acknowledge the chat.
Hey.
If she can, you can too. I
Saw
also
Christina. I
see,
met Christina at Vid Summit. Yeah,
I
it's
thought
pretty
you would have
fun.
seen her at FinCon since you were in Louisiana.
Did Christina let me know? I'm my all I know is I met you inside a conference hall. I'm pretty sure it's Vid Summit.
No, you met at VidCon. I was just saying, I'm surprised you didn't meet. I also see from Ember Sky, it's Rob and Andrew
Hey,
together
Graham.
again.
Hey, good to see you, man.
It's funny because I've gotten questions. Are you and Rob still good? I'm like, yeah. Did Rob tell you something I don't know? Because in my head, yes. So Rob and I are still good.
Yeah.
This is when Rob's like, actually, this has been a long-term play. I'm glad I have you live because here's the real answer.
Oh, I'm glad you're probably wondering why I gathered all of you today.
Rob's just really masterminding it. Diana Gladney as well.
Diana.
Howdy, gents. The duo is back. Good to see you, fellas. Good to be back. Love chatting with Rob. It's funny because I think, and this happens, some people thought maybe they thought we were just work friends, Rob. Like Rob's like, now that this job's over, Andrew, that's where I leave.
Yeah, we're good here. We're done here. No. No, no, no. Andrew's one of my closest friends, actually. So it's great. Every time I go to LA, I'm trying to find a reason to go to LA just so I can hang out with Andrew and also Ike, who's also in the
Yeah.
chat. What's up? What's up, Ike?
Shout outs to Ike in the chat.
Big
My,
crush
you
on Ike.
know, I Diana goes just work friends. I actually have gotten that question about like Nick. It's like, Andrew, are you and Nick friends? I'm like, yes.
I think
It's
so.
like
Unless
how do you answer that question? It's like it's very a one-sided question. It's like, I don't know, should you have asked Nick this?
yeah.
But I guess to go a little bit more on track, you know, we had a question that I think is pretty interesting, and it is, what is the advantage of having more than 3,000 videos on a channel? That is a lot of content if you have 3,000 videos on a channel. So one of the advantages that you have so much to serve, that you have a lot that you could look for short form, that you could repurpose. I would say, or there's a lot more questions we could have. Are all those videos relevant to the topic on the channel? Like if Rob has 800 videos about, you know, how to juggle, and then 1,200 videos about, you know, home repair, and then 600 videos about how Rob is a digital nomad, it's a little confusing. But I'm more impressed by the sheer volume of the juggling videos, honestly, Rob. I think that's my biggest impress.
Yeah.
But jokes aside, I think
That is a lot of videos, though. That is a lot of videos.
yeah.
Is there an advantage, though?
I think if it's all on one topic, and
Yes.
depending the value within each piece, as long as you're not repeating yourself, like there are some channels that have been around, God, for since YouTube started, and they have 4 or 5,000 videos. They also have like 10 million subs. The unique factor in having that much content is there's always something that YouTube can recommend. And that those channels have stayed pretty consistent. They've never faltered from their niche. So as long as it makes sense and you're not, you know, making 80 different content types within those 3,000, I think you're okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's a good call out. Christina mentioned Dusty Porter, good friend of ours.
Yeah.
Love Dusty, but he does have a lot of videos. That's intentional, though. I think I mean, talking to him, he's built his channel to be a search channel.
Yeah.
It's never going to go viral, but if you want like a really specific technical thing on how to set up your Apple TV box and fix it, like his channel will pop up. You know, it's one way, and Dusty's definitely in it for the long game for like searchability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
I think that's a good point.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
Depends
mean
how
to
you're
cut you
building your
off.
channel. No, I was gonna say just it really depends on how you're building your channel. Like there's people that build their channels on live streams. There's people that have built massive really quickly in the last couple of years with shorts. It really depends. You could argue that the way that Dusty has built his channel with long form search traffic may ride out, you know, sort of like the test of time, right? Because people will always use YouTube for that. Shorts and everything is also good, but it's more entertainment based, right?
It can also be more feed dependent compared to normal content. Like I've seen some people explain that if they don't hit the feed, they're dead. And that's scary. That is one of the downsides of short form content, which is why, to go back to the question, you know, my shorts are getting views, my long form isn't. Short form, while it is good now, it's very feed dependent. That long form, if you do it right, can get suggested if it's evergreen for years to come. It can live in search. It can have a longer shelf life. So there's benefits to even what Rob was talking about, YouTube having different parts of the channel, having different segments. Each of them has different strengths and different weaknesses. One
Mm.
of the biggest weaknesses I've seen on shorts is that if it doesn't pop in the feed, it may never. And I've seen channels that like have millions of subscribers who get hundreds of thousands of views on long form, and they're struggling to get shorts to get tens of thousands of views. It can go both ways.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen channels that have spent clearly a lot of time on shorts, like editing
Hmm.
and creating a short, like a short? Not-
Yes, actually. I think, you know, there's a couple of larger creators that come, like Zach King spends a lot of time,
right,
whether it's
of
vertical
course, yeah,
or short. I've
that's true.
seen a couple of other editing channels realize, hey, that there's a lot of things that I can't dedicate a full video to, but I can show you this cool effect in like a minute, and it's going to be a much better experience for you and me. I can finally have an answer, and that's another thing shorts can do. If you're getting a question all the time,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you can make a short so much easier than a dedicated video.
yeah.
Like sometimes I do that. I've actually used like audience questions, and I love that feature in YouTube where you can reply to a comment you get, and it links to the comment, and if it's whether it's on a short or like a long standard video, like I will use shorts to reply to a comment that I can't make a full video on,
Mhm.
but 60 seconds is perfect. Like
Yep.
I got a question recently, why do you recommend this brand over this brand? It's not worth a full dedicated video,
Right.
but I can easily give you an experience in 60 seconds, and that can also help others. So there is value in that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, answering really quickly. And also, yeah, you mentioned, anything where there's an end product, like editing, cooking, any like craft or makers type of channel, content. It's perfect for shorts. The shorts is like the wow, like you wow them, like people are scrolling. Oh, cool. That's a cool thing that he did. Like, check out this transition. And then, like, hey, if you want to watch how I did this, then you point to the long form. Those are like slam dunk. If that's your channel, that's the kind
Yeah.
of content that you create. That's like slam dunk. If you can find a way where you can impress and show off something really quickly, like an end product, end state of anything, use shorts for that. And then say, if you want to learn how I did that cool thing, do that. Hey, look at me do a backflip. Like, if you want to learn how you do a backflip in 2 weeks or whatever, I don't know how long it'd take me forever. Here's the long form video, to like do that.
Now I know on Rob's channel where he has 4,000 videos, he has got like 80 on how to backflip, you know?
Yeah, there's an unlisted playlist with still working on that backflip from like 10 years ago.
But I think that's really solid advice, especially when it comes to thinking of the different content types. And I think that in some ways, being a creator now is both easier than ever, but also can be a little more daunting. It's easier because we have tools that have matured to a point that can help you do anything you want,
Mm-hmm.
but daunting in a way that because I can do anything, what do I do?
Mm.
So, Rob, I know that you have a really good vision for your channel. Like, I can tell that you have a lot of intentionality, whether it is the clips you choose, the people you bring on, who you expose your audience to. How do you decide the content you make, not only for short form, but just in general? How do you have that focus?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that's a question everybody should ask themselves. I feel like it's a bit of a Venn diagram of the things that I enjoy. I don't have to have a YouTube channel. I think most of us here, if we really are honest, we don't have to have a YouTube channel. So why do we do it? Why do you take the time to do it? You have to enjoy it. You have to find value in it, that you're also helping other people. I think that's a big part of why people have YouTube channels. And so what's going to serve this audience that has been built and kind of come around this YouTube channel that I built, and so kind of thinking through, like, who am I talking to and what am I doing? What will help them? And then that kind of really sets the tone, makes it really easy to pick the guests and kind of think through who in my, network can I interview and bring onto the channel, Andrew and different people, right? And also there's got to be also a aspect of this that I think a lot of people don't really talk about, or they're not honest with, is that what is the business side of what you're doing here? Nobody's doing this for free, and so you got to think about all of those three things, I think. Yeah, and I think some of the best creators out there have kind of like found that Venn diagram where all those circles, touch each other, right, and overlap. And that's why they do it, and that's how they pick the content. I think that's the big question. Then the next big question is, what kind of content should I create? And then that's more of like, how does my audience like to consume content? What do I like to do? Do you like to live stream? Do you like to make short form content? Do you like to talk to other people? Do you like to edit and record and all that stuff? You like to vlog? Do you like to be out in public? Is that the type of content that you want to create? So yeah, but for me, I just, I know my audience is, other creators. They're trying to figure out the business side. pulling from my experience and my network of, people that I know that I happen to have access to, like this is the type of content that will help them. And so it makes it really easy. I enjoy talking to people all the time. So podcast, and then YouTube launched video, YouTube podcast. I was like, perfect. Can put it all together here. So that's where we're at.
I see a comment here that I think goes into like finding your audience and finding your why, and this comes from Architectural Sheet Metal 101, and they're
Yeah.
talking about, is introducing entertainment into our educational content unavoidable? You were just talking about when you have your audience and knowing what you want to give them, you speak to them as if they're friends. Obviously, there's a level of disconnect, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Is introducing entertainment into our educational content unavoidable? That's up to you. For me, I've been told my videos are entertaining, and that was not my intention. Like, it's also a little bit up to the audience. Once you upload that video, there might be people right now that think it's entertaining. So I think it's unavoidable because at a certain point, the audience decides how the content is received, especially to that individual person. Like, Rob and I right now are talking together, but we're very aware there's 16 of you watching live. There will be hundreds who watch the replay. So you have to always remember that when it comes to the content you're making, to a certain point, whether it's a short piece of content, whether it's a long piece of content, once you put it out there, it is up to interpretation and how it's received. So you may not think your content right now, like you might not think is entertainment unavoidable. Some people would argue you already are entertaining. So it's always been there. So I would say when it comes to your why, like if you don't want to, like you don't have to insert jokes. Like Rob and I aren't always constantly cracking jokes. But if it is natural and it feels right and it adds to the video, yeah. I'm sure you'd agree, Rob.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great question. Should I be? Because some people do feel the pressure. Should I be funny? Should I be extra entertaining? What does that even mean, right? Maybe you're not. I think it's more important to be yourself, right? When you have educational content, which is great, educational content is perfect, right? It's people are searching. There's a search engine, so people are searching questions and they're looking for answers that you can provide them. You have to first bring value, and what the value is the answer, right? And so they're like, how do you how do you go live on multiple channels at the same time? Okay, give them the answer. As you are building and giving them the answer, they're getting to know you more and more, right? They're hearing your voice, they're seeing your facial structure, your facial movements and your expressions and all those things. And every now and then you can insert some of your personal, like, anecdotal stuff, right? And so they get to know you. You don't have to don't try to be extra entertaining. It's really hard when you see it's natural for creators to watch. We're all watching other creators. We have our favorite creators. And so you want to take some of the things they're doing and apply it to yourself, but you're not them, and it's really hard. So, I wish I had the last name of Can and I can have a really cool slogan, but I don't. So I have a really long last name that would never fit a slogan. So, I can't do that.
I gotta say though, Rob, my audience has had a great time trying to say your last name over the years. We've had Rob Balsamic, we've had Rob Balasalad. Like, I've understood who they're talking about, but the funny thing in that, like, that could be something that Rob has fun with, and it's honest to his brand. And he, like, if I was Rob and that happened to me, like, my first thing is, and remember, I'm your friendly Rob Balasalad here, and show the comment, have a little fun with it, right?
Yeah.
But that's my personality, and to Rob's point, if it doesn't feel natural to you, don't do it. If it is coming up and if it adds to the video, go for it. I would say, like, as long as it's not detracting from the experience, which, you can tell your audience will humble you real quick in a dip graph. Like, I often tell people, they're like, why did you stop doing this? Or why did you stop doing that? I'm like, my audience told me with their watch time, they didn't enjoy it. And I didn't need to add it. So I think that's something. We have a question from Brandon's Recovery, and I would love your input on it. I have my own thoughts, but it is, should I do long form videos for Bible scriptures or short form videos to grow? They're wondering, should I do normal long forms or should I just try to grow with shorts? Because a lot of people feel like it's so easy to grow with shorts. What's your take?
That's a really good question. It's a good question. This is actually, I would say short form. Yeah, I would say short form. Have both. It's just like any type of thing that you're teaching. This is educational content too, right? This is actually educational content. So, have really short form. Like summarize a Bible scripture. What's your take on it? How does that apply to somebody's life? How does it apply to today's culture? Whatever that is in a short form, 15, 30 seconds, you can do that. You can, scroll through reels or shorts and TikTok. You'll find that people are doing that, and learn from them how they're doing that. And then have longer form videos, a few minutes, where it's long form, where you're unpacking it a little bit more, right? You're unpacking it a little bit more, because again, sometimes people are going to consume it and they're waiting for a ride, they're waiting for a lift, and they're just scrolling through. Cool, that was cool. Brandon's recovery, that was a cool verse. That was a really good point. I love that idea. And then there's going to be times where it's Saturday evening, and they're just watching on on their TV, because they have YouTube on their TV and stuff. And then your long form videos is going to get served to them, and they may remember your short form, where you delivered a really cool idea and interpretation of a scripture, and then they'll watch a longer form. And so do both. I would say do both. I'd love your thoughts, Andrew, but I also would love your thoughts on the ratio of long form to short form
So
for that.
I can start with the ratio, because when I was at VidCon, I asked YouTube, and I have a couple of contacts at YouTube who, when I've asked them this exact question, their ratio is 2 to 1, 2 long forms to 1 short, if you are mostly producing long form content. Obviously, if you're an exclusively shorts channel, make shorts. But I would say, with that ratio in mind, and to Rob's point of, if someone's waiting for a ride, if someone has an order they're waiting to pick up, they have that time. You never within scripture itself can be a short story that you can bring your insight to within that time frame of YouTube under 60 seconds. I would say do both, because you never know who needs it. That one scripture they hear from you, Brandon, can make all the difference. And that goes back to Rob's point of, you could actually be doing a disservice by not having both. And I think for your case, I would absolutely do both. And I think that, I wish you all the best on it. I think that you actually have a unique viewpoint with scripture can be so short, especially to be impactful, that it kind of leads beautifully to both.
Yeah. You could use it, you could leave sort of just, even, it doesn't have to be a full thought. It could be something that's almost thought provoking. Like, hey, guess what? I was doing my devos this morning, came across a scripture, and then like, here's a quick thought. What do you think? And then, kind of leave them hanging, test different types of formats. Yeah. Anyways, that's great. Yeah. Thanks for that question.
No, I thought I love, one, thank you everyone who's watching, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay. I make sure to answer questions, and you never know what you need the answer to. And like I said, if you leave a question, maybe I make a short out of it, which not only helps you, but helps hundreds of others. You never know what your comment can do, either to a creator or a community. It can make all the difference. I see that, we had some comments on, Rob, your last name kind of sounds like Saradici, rhymes with Peachy. Maybe we find one of those for you, Rob. We could find a word. Apparently balsamic is the one that I've gotten it twice. I think that's what got me, is I'm like, I don't understand how you got so close. I also don't understand, because I put your name on screen. So but I do agree with you. That was a really thoughtful question. And if anyone watching has a question, Rob and I, we have a couple more minutes left here. We'd love to take it. I have a question for you, Rob. And this is something I saw, and I know that you recently reviewed someone's membership video. What are your thoughts on, I've seen a couple of creators do this, using shorts to promote to their membership. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, my actual thought, I think it's good. You can do that. You can definitely try. I think it's more likely that somebody will go from even a YouTube video, like a full-length YouTube video, to sign up for something or purchase something that's like more high ticket, either high ticket or recurring, right? with the exception of YouTube memberships. I feel like YouTube memberships is so easy, right? It's like right here. Like shout out to Andrew's got a membership now, by the way. So make sure you guys go support
Thank
that.
you,
But
Rob.
yeah, so it's like right there. It's like so easy, right? But if somebody was like, let's say you had a course or something or a membership that's recurring every month, I would suggest going from shorts to a long form video or shorts to and then to an email list or some type of lead magnet first, right? So YouTube, whatever YouTube is, whether it's shorts or long form, then some type of lead magnet in the middle, and letting your email sequence sell and nurture, build trust, build authority, and then ask them to go and check out your product to whatever it is that you are helping them with, whether it's a course or membership or high ticket coaching or whatever it is, mastermind retreat, whatever that is. Yeah, it's really rare that somebody can like slam dunk from like a YouTube video to something high ticket or recurring, So again, with the exception of YouTube memberships.
No, I think that's a great answer. I think that, as someone who is getting into memberships, that it is important to remember like what's your end goal. Thank you so much, Chantel Hills. I see you've just become a
Hey, let's go.
supporter.
That's
So
awesome.
Chantel, appreciate you very much. But I think that's very important to remember is like similar to normal videos, you never know where you're gonna hit them and where you're gonna resonate with them. So I think you're right in terms of what has made me more likely to be a member is tends to either be a live stream or more of a standard video. But even to that, I've seen people join memberships from lives and because they've just gotten to spend more time. So it's not impossible through short form. It's just the more time someone spends with you, the more likely they are to give it to you as well, I think.
That's right. That's right.
And I know, Rob, that, this question I think is kind of perfect for you. You've made a video all about why you don't edit as much as you used to. And this comes from Brandon. Should I edit my videos or upload them raw? So, Rob, as someone who has kind of taken, you haven't completely stopped, but you've taken, it's not as huge focus as it once was. What are your thoughts?
Should I edit my videos or upload them raw? It really depends. Yeah, I think there's still, unless you're filming it in a certain fashion where it is covering like, you have a nice hook and you're getting to the point and you've got all those things, then I would still edit them for sure. Like I would still respect the algorithm and people's like attention span. You can there's a lot of people here and we have some friends that live stream and they just do it like straight, just like Dr. Elo. Actually, Dr. Elo is here. So he I was on his podcast and he does a one take podcast. All the overlays are there, all the intros, the music and everything, the outro, it's all there. He just does it one take, no edit, with a guest, video podcast. But that takes a lot of like, that's very intentional, and he's planning it and he's thought it through. If that's what you're doing, then yeah, you don't have to edit. But most people will still have to do some type of editing, so.
Yeah, and I think that's really good advice. Shout outs to Dr. Elo, found
Dr.
a
Elo.
comment here. But, I think that for me, right, and Rob, if we were to go just record from this, which is very already produced, we've already put in a lot of the work to sound good, look good, then yeah, we probably could, and technically we are uploading this raw. Within that, though, we've done a lot of work to make sure it could live that way. So my point to you would be editing can add a lot, especially for scripture. I think you could use imagery to help drive a point home. But it also goes to, do you enjoy it? If you don't enjoy it, you don't have to edit like a mass ton. You just need to do enough to look good enough to post. That'd be what I say to you.
Good advice. Good advice.
Yeah, and with tools like Opus, they can do a lot of that for you. Sorry, I did that.
Yeah, no, honestly, we've been talking about Opus a lot, but yeah, you should definitely check it out. We're partners and everything, but even if we weren't, man, I feel like we would still use it. There's a couple of tools on the market, but yeah, Opus I feel like has really figured it out with the AI, and there's constantly new features. The B-roll thing that came out recently. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
I think that that also is like supporting of those features and like anytime, and this is something I've had to learn. Rob and I used to work at TubeBuddy. If you are unaware and you're just joining us, what I've learned as being a creator and who's worked for brands is how to manage that and balance it.
Mhm.
Like sometimes it really impacts creators to think like a brand almost. Think of like, what would I need to get to what is most important to me for my audience? What is my values? What do I believe in? And having them written out. Like one thing I've had to do recently since like building out memberships, building out this channel, building out from working for a brand, going out on my own, is finding ways to treat it more like a business. And if you're having fun, don't worry. But even if you're just having fun, you should know, why am I doing this? Who is this for? Why does editing add to this? So again, I'm a huge proponent of editing, or at least getting yourself to a point where you don't have to edit as much, but do what works for you. If you find it's not working, but you're not editing, then you kind of could figure out the answer. Because sometimes, and I'm sure you've seen this, Rob, sometimes you're like, why isn't this one thing working? We try something else. Turns out it was the one thing we didn't want to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the hardest thing to kind of sometimes take your own advice, right? So be really critical of yourself. Yeah, yeah, that's great advice. If you're are you replying to comments, there's all these fundamentals with YouTube that you just need to do. You're looking at your analytics. Is your watch time, are people not getting past 5 seconds on average? You got to figure out your intro. Maybe take out the intro. Just go directly to tip number 1, tip number 2. Yeah, there's usually something broken, and it's usually like the one that you're not looking at is the thing that is broken because you are neglecting it, or you're afraid to address it, or for whatever reason it's really close to your heart. You're kind of like, nope, this is the only way I want to do this. This is like, I really prize this thing that I'm doing with my channel. I don't want to edit, and so whatever it is, like that's usually the thing, right? So yeah, be flexible, have an open mind, and don't be afraid to change things up if it's not working. Yeah.
And Dr. Elo says I edit shorts on my iPhone while on the metro to work. Like
There you go.
find what can work for you, Like that is such a thing I firmly believe in, is do what works best for you. And I see from experienced Africans here, I made a video within my niche with AI completely. Will this affect my channel? Depends. Like that is truly the answer. Like using AI is like using a tool, right? So like if Rob told me for a video he used a camera, I'm like, oh, okay, I'd expect that, but that's a tool, right?
Yeah.
But if Rob is in a niche that's like, if Rob's like, I make everything on my phone, no outside cameras, and then Rob uses an outside camera, that's going to affect his channel. He has betrayed what he's built, right? So really it depends on how your niche is in that regard. I don't think it will affect it. It's really up to what you've helped the AI to build, because AI is your co-pilot at this stage in the time of this recording, before Rob and I are like AI versions of us.
Totally. GPT version, Andrew GPT. Yeah. No, I think no, I don't think, well, yeah, I don't think it'll your question is, will this affect my channel? I'm assuming in terms of views and things like that.
No guarantee.
No guarantee. Also, I don't think it's a problem unless you're using it. I don't know what the rules are that YouTube would have that, but I mean, there's AI in everything, right? Like we're
There's
using
AI
AI
in
for
YouTube.
keywords, for thumbnails. To a lot of creators are using AI, like building, creating their thumbnails on Midjourney. Like AI is everywhere. I mean, we work with Adobe Express, and there's AI there. So, and we've been talking. Yeah. And we've been talking about Opus this whole, like, the last hour, and that's all AI too. So, yeah, I think you're fine.
No, I think you'll be okay, as like I said, as long as that doesn't betray like one of the biggest things that you've set your channel on. Like I've seen a couple of channels that started, we're going to teach you iPad all the time. So I no longer use my iPad. I'm like, ooh,
Ooh, that's
I'm like, no shade, no tea. But like it goes to show, like, as long as you're not like betraying what you've set your channel to be, you should be
right,
fine.
right, right. Yeah.
But, I think that one of the most important things that when it comes to a channel, and this goes to anyone who's watching, if you're thinking about creating YouTube shorts, is that you need to remember who your audience is. Is this valuable to them? And what will make them want to watch this on a loop or share this out? I think that can't be understated. Because I don't know about you, Rob. There's sometimes I'm watching a short, and whenever I decide no, I'm like, nah, this is not for me. I wouldn't share this out. It doesn't resonate. So I think that's important too. Rob, when you're making short form content or picking with the help of Opus, what's kind of one of those things you look for? Like, what makes you go, this is the one that I'm going to use?
Um, that it's a really good. It's a full thought. It's the full thought. There's no like. I'm not doing that strategy of like which we shared a couple times, where you leave them hanging and hopefully
Mm,
search out your channel. I'm not doing that. I'm just it's a no click is kind of what a lot of marketers call it, is a no click. You don't need to get you need to click anywhere to get a full thought, full idea, full value. That's really what I'm looking for. And for the folks out there that are going to try using Opus Clip, just to set expectations, not every clip will be ones that you want to use. There's going to be ones where you skip on it. It's not a good clip, but it's a small number of them, a small percentage of the ones that the AI picks up. Which, man, AI is crazy. It's a whole nother topic, but it's just getting so much smarter and smarter.
it it really is. I see it every day. It boggles my mind how far we've come in tools. I mean, Rob and
Yeah,
I both
yeah.
got our start working in creator tools,
Hmm.
and I think that there's a lot of time when it comes to like AI. People are still. I'm afraid of it a little bit. I'll be completely transparent, but it's understanding. I don't want to ever be left behind by it. I never
Hmm.
want to be like not aware of what's happening. And I think that that's a balance as a creator you have to make too. Is like, what am I willing to learn? What am I willing to be okay not knowing? Like, sometimes you might be an okay long form content creator, but you're really crushing it on shorts. Sometimes you can make okay shorts, but you're a really good podcaster. As a creator, that's a journey you have to go on yourself too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just kind of you have to find your space. I think AI is kind of, yeah. I mean, again, whole nother episode to talk about AI and the future of AI. Where are we going to be from a year from now? Yeah, it depends on which podcast you're listening to, and
True.
if you're, it's crazy what's possible and what could happen and all that stuff. Anyways, but yeah, for now, as of this recording, AI is a great tool. There's great tools out there. It's going to be part of the way we are creators. So yeah, just hold on for the ride, I guess.
Look, and if we ever need to go into witness
Protection, my name is definitely Andrew Kant. The AI never was here, and with that,
I would say that was a great. Thank you so much, Rob, for joining us. Where can people find you?
Yeah, YouTube. Just copy and paste my name wherever Andrew has it on the show notes and stuff, but in the description. Yeah, head over to YouTube. I'm over here hanging out. And also LinkedIn if you happen to be on LinkedIn, or Instagram. That's usually my three channels that I hang out in.
And I'll make sure to have links for all of those in the description down below. If you want to learn more about what I'm doing here with Ike, what we're doing here, we have a very simple mindset, which is if we can, you can too. We'd love to have you join our free Discord server. Thank you, Rob, for the shout outs of the soft launch of memberships. And as always, if we can, you can too. Take care.